the death that shook the entire country, I decided to step up as a community activist and create a global podcast, Woke by Accident. Here, I amplify compelling news stories and matters impacting African Americans and their communities. My goal is to give a voice to the voiceless and have the difficult conversations needed to advance relations and matters of race. Tune in to Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jen, and it is streaming on all of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our website, www.wokebyaccident.net. Thank you for listening and take care. So, welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today, we have a special guest, Tory Russell. Tory is the director of Black Organizing with the International Black Freedom Alliance. All right. And he is also the creator of Books and Breakfast and the lead organizer in the Ferguson Uprising. He is a founding member of the Black Lives Matter policy and strategy team and organizer of Ferguson October, which called for thousands to come to Ferguson for a weekend of direct action to bring worldwide attention to the police brutality that Black people face. He was named one of Ebony Magazine's Power 100. He has been a featured speaker at the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, MLK Conference. So many accolades. His writing has been featured in Ebony, Essence, and the Black Agenda Report. He's appeared in the following films: Ferguson Rises, Black Lives from 2018, a direct Whose Streets, a documentary from 2017, another documentary, Fault Lines, from 2024, or 2014 rather, excuse me. And yeah, so we just really are glad to have Tory. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you for having me.
For sure. So I wanted to get some of the people outside of the St. Louis metropolitan area may not be so familiar with your work, but Google him if you all don't know. All right. I wanted to tell us when your activism started.
I guess as a kid, my activism kind of started really young, but I wouldn't really call it what I'm doing now. So as a kid, I was just, I go to marches. I would go to the MLK Day March. I would go to the rallies. I would listen to people like Percy Green and Norman Say, and Mama Jamala Rogers and other people speak. And I would show up. I think why activism in this current day really what took it to another level and became my life is the killing of Mike Brown in Ferguson, August 9, 2014. That kind of changed my life. And so before that, I would just say I was a protest body. I quickly became an activist. And then I learned how to be an organizer in the movement and for the liberation of our people.
Right. So tell us about how you got started in the movement with the Mike Brown situation. I know that was really one of the inspirations of my podcast, especially when the case was reopened. But you were there in the beginning. So what was that like? And, share with us about that, how it changed your life.
Ferguson in the beginning, it was freedom. It was Black liberation. I don't know how to describe it. Black people was taking care of each other. Black people were advocating for each other. We were a safe space for each other. We showed each other love. People got there on the bus, went home on a ride. You didn't need no food. Big Mama Julie and them gonna give you some hugs. There was some people and some posse with you to go heads up with the police. But we had space for us to love and grieve and build and empower each other. And this Ferguson was much more than just the tear gas and the rubber bullets.
Right.
It was inspiration for Black people to come together and actually solve our own problems on our own terms. So I really appreciate just everything that happened in 2014 and let me get a little taste of freedom.
Definitely. I've had two other brothers from St. Louis that were very involved in the movement, DeMarco Davison and Sir Irvin Williams. And we talked about just like how word got around town of what someone is bodies laying in the street for 4 hours. And it's just like people just felt compelled, like, we got to do something. We got to go down there and see this. And, you know, did you have that same, like, hearing the news and you remember what that was like?
All right. So I'm gonna give you something I've never really told nobody. So I got you. I'm gonna tell you something. When Mike Brown was killed at around probably like a quarter till 10 minutes until noon.
Right.
I was on Twitter. I seen the body. First, I seen the picture of Mike Brown's stepfather saying Ferguson PD just killed my unarmed son. I seen the pictures. I said, dang, something happened. But in actuality, I did like most people did. I sat on Twitter and argued with somebody. So my homie, Toya, who from Berkeley, we was just tweeting about it. And somebody she knew was like, oh, he robbed a store. He deserved to die. You know, if you stealing, you should deserve to die. So I'm going back and forth with the dude. And he was like, and I was like, have you ever stole something? He was like, yeah. I was like, all right, what's your address? I'm finna pull up and kill you. And he was like, oh yeah, you talking. I was like, yeah, just drop your addy. Like we can, wow. What's up? And he stopped talking. He just stopped talking. And then I was like, damn, I'm sitting here a year after Trayvon Martin. I'm sitting here on Twitter talking about what should be done or this ain't right and this in my city. This not in Sanford, Florida. This not Oregon. I'm not in Staten Island. This right here at the crib. And so I called my homeboys. I live 2 blocks in West Florissant. So we drove up West Florissant, took like 10 minutes. And you know, history happened.
Yeah. Wow. Yep, I think everybody from St. Louis kind of remembers like seeing the pictures and then just hearing the news, you know, just and you know, being compelled to, you know, do something or wanting to do something. You know, you work closely with the family too and things like that. So that's awesome. So when George Floyd happened in May 2020, and then the reopening of the Mike Brown case, I think it's safe to say that everyone from the family to the community was highly disappointed at the outcome, that Darren Whistle would not be indicted or face any charges, even with the reopening, which a lot of people don't know about that reopening because it was kind of quietly reopened. You were actually there again at the press conference with that news being announced. What was that moment like? And what is your opinion of that outcome?
That was a hard day.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, when Mike Brown didn't get justice again at the hands of a Black prosecutor who was a Ferguson City Council member, a person who we worked to remove the old white supremacist Bob McCullough from being a prosecutor, and what we thought at the time was a better option. And he made all these lies. You know, he lied to Mike Brown's parents and said that he would, you know, he would reopen the case and get justice for their son. He told this to their face. He talked to us, activists and protesters. Now he, you know, after the press conference and kind of shutting it down, you know, and all of that, and probably making them famous in a different way. He acts like he doesn't remember those planning meetings. Like, and that's the thing that we have to be very cognizant of who we putting in, especially if they Black.
Okay.
You know, it's not good enough. You know, the Obama veneer of politics should be gone. It ain't just a black face in a hot place. It ain't just somebody who could play basketball or listen to hip hop music. Like Kamala, she didn't smoke weed, but she locked people up for weed when she was, prosecuting in the state of California. So those are the contradictions. But on that day, I felt like Mike Brown said, Mike Brown Sr., his father, I'll never forget when the first non-indictment came, he said, man, it felt like they killed my son twice. Mm-hmm. And so the day that we was expecting Wesley Bell to actually do something and nothing happened, when I called Mike after I left the press conference, he was like, I felt like my son got killed for a third time.
Yeah.
And so that's, it's frustrating as an organizer working with the family, because what other people see as a hashtag, for me, I get to see the parents' tears. I get to see, brothers and sisters broken down. And I get to see that the system has never worked for Black people, even if you put a Black person in it.
Right. Yeah. That's, disappointing is really not the word. It's worse than that. I mean, I know I volunteered on the campaign to a lot of.
We all did. It's okay. It's okay. I'm a hug. Give me a hug. Give me a virtual hug. It's okay. Let that out.
Yeah. So it was disappointing. I mean, that's all I can say. It was very disappointing.
But like I said at the press conference, Wesley Bell will be a one-term prosecutor. I'm willing to go all out to find someone to groom them, to run their campaign, and make sure that Wesley Bell does not win. And to be honest with you, I don't care who wins. It ain't gonna be Wesley Bell.
Okay. Yeah, they you were very vocal at the press conference.
And I meant that shit the whole way.
I hear you. I hear you, and I feel that I understand. But yeah, it's just horrible that it worked out that way. It really is. Now, your activism work doesn't just encompass Ferguson and the movement here. You've traveled to support other efforts such as Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Any thoughts on that experience? And did you notice a difference in the way that those movements were handled?
Yeah. I think it's a difference depending on where you go. So it's probably not a place or uprising that I haven't been to. And so, from Ferguson to Baltimore to Minneapolis to Milwaukee, to Louisville, to Oakland, went down to Florida for a sister, Toya Wilson. It's a lot of people who, don't get a headline, don't get a hashtag. It ain't just Black men, it ain't just Black women, it ain't just Black kids, it's Black trans people, it's everybody. And as a Black man, I try my best to be everywhere, and try to organize. And I guess at this point, because the protesters are really young, I'm like the movement or the protest OG at this point.
Right.
And so it's just different. It depends on, how hood people are, how radical their politics are, is they scared or not, So, Ferguson was like, if all the people, because we're St. Louis, we one of them high school cities. So if all the bad high schools was outside protesting, that's what Ferguson was. Sumner, Beaumont, Vashon, Roosevelt, Jennings, Normandy, Wellston, a little U City, throw a little Hazelwood Central and East in there. Like it's everybody outside, right?
My school.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it is, right? And even some of the D-said kids that went to the good schools like Ladue and Clayton, they was outside too, right? But it's a difference. In Minneapolis, it was just a different feel. It was more Africans. It was more kind of people that, students, and some people that have a little bit different kind of understanding of the system. Louisville, though, it was a tug of war between the hood people and the Black Lives Matter people. I seen some of the things that people talk about online about respectability politics or listening to Black women. And I think all that's cool in theory until you show up and you listening or following the wrong Black woman who's scared and afraid of the system that's trying to sell us out, or the queer Black people who not with the shits. And so what happened was the contradictions were high, and it just depends on where you are. But what happens over time is that the people who are connected to the masses, who in the day-to-day struggle, who ain't scared, and who ain't never gonna quit, come out, and they don't really have a social economic background. I've seen rich people stay outside longer than the poor, and I've seen poor people with no resources stay outside than the rich. So it's just about, as a young Black person or a Black person, period, do you understand what Black freedom look like, and are you willing to sacrifice it all for it?
And then it was kind of diverse too, right? Like other ethnicities and supporting.
Yeah, I mean, Ferguson was bliggity Black though. So right. I mean, it was probably like maybe 5% white.
Okay.
And then at nighttime it was 99.9% Black. Minneapolis, it was probably 50% Black, and there was a lot of white and others out there. Louisville, it was probably majority non-Black people outside. In some instances. And then it just depends on, what the direction is. Are they listening? Are they allies or their accomplices? Or the Black people connected in struggle, or somebody trying to look good for their IG picture. All those things come into play. But it's just depending on what protest, what march, and what month you in. But, for me, be it Ferguson, we stayed out over 400 days. Or for Breonna Taylor, which I stayed out there, I lived out there for 6 weeks. To seek justice for her, along with Tamika Mallory and other people, and Until Freedom and other people nationally. We try to put in work. We try to be there for the family. But more importantly, we try to build young people up, organizers up in that city, because I don't live there. So I can give you all the game I want and try to put you into it. But I'm going to be gone because I got my own city. But I can call, I'm one phone call away, but it's your thing to organize once I leave. And that's kind of what we try to go around and try to have this understanding of what we're doing.
So did they reach out to you, or you just wanted to get involved, or?
I mean, usually people reach out to me, I go where I need it. I go, like Big Mama say, I ain't just showing up. And if I show up, I ain't showing up empty handed. I'm going to come knocking with my elbows. I got some presents in my hands. And so, Until Freedom, Tamika Mallory reached out to me, my sign, Angelo Pinto, even the homie Linda Sansour. She was like, yo, what's up, Tory? We pulled up with Mike Brown Sr.
Awesome.
And then right there, they was like, yo, you gonna stay? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna commit to stay. So I stayed for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And really, like, yo, I'm gonna put this on hold here. Because it's funny, because here, the first day after like the George Floyd and stuff and everything started to like really spring up, our organization organized like the first 2 protests, and then I went to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Then when I came back, I did some stuff here, and then I worked with Mike Brown family around the 6-year anniversary, and then from there I went to Louisville, and I stayed there for 6 weeks. So the first year of the pandemic was really hectic all over the country.
Oh yeah.
But that's the beauty of movement organizing. We can find ourselves and uplift our people and find our tribe and our family everywhere in the world.
That's awesome. I really, kudos to you for, immersing yourself and helping other movements. That's awesome. What would you feel like is the takeaway from the Ferguson movement?
I would say it's probably like 3 really good takeaways from Ferguson. So one, like Brother Shaheed, the curator. If people don't know, Brother Shaheed is an elder organizer, activist here in St. Louis, Missouri. He's actually the curator of the Hands Up, Don't Shoot chant that the world knows. They might not know the person who created the chant, Anthony Shaheed, but everyone knows the Hands Up, Don't Shoot chant. He always has this saying of, trust Allah, trust God, but tie your camel. So he say, trust God, but tie your camel. So, like believe, like trust your instincts, but don't be no damn fool, right? So it's like believe in what you believe in and go with your emotions, because sometimes your emotions lead you to the right place, but still keep your wisdom and your knowledge of what it look like and what it feel like when you get there at the protest or at the movement. I think that's the first. Second, build with your people. Don't look for hashtags. I know I didn't tweet much. I wasn't posting. Matter of fact, I didn't have a Facebook. I didn't have an Instagram. I only had a Twitter at the time. And I probably tweeted 30 times in 100 days.
Okay.
So other people was doing that. And by the time I looked up and found out that people wasn't saying the right thing or really putting out the right messaging, it was over. So I would say just be aware of all positions, right? Because if we on a team, an organizational movement is just a team. It's just a tribe or a family. So make sure you building with your people, and everybody's in the right place. Like you do the media, Jen. So I'm not asking you to go march 5 miles here and 5 miles back with me, and talk about this. No. You need to be putting out the narrative for the masses of people, and I need to just report back to you and let you do it and chop it up the way you do it and put everybody in place. Third, not on all skin folk ain't kinfolk, but more importantly, make sure that who you organizing your freedom with, be careful of that, because some people's freedom looks like your oppression.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that again. Some people's freedom looks like your oppression, right? So some people scream visibility for groups of people, Black people, and what they saying is me. They cloaking it, and we need to uplift Black women, and it's only you, the only Black woman being seen. We need to uplift local leadership, but you talking about yourself. Just say that.
Okay.
If you want to be famous, just say that. If you want to be seen, just say that. Don't do it in the cloak. And so, like, that's the thing that we have to understand. So really dive into, like, what does freedom look like? What does it smell like? Like, when we building, like, you sharing your last with me? Can I get in your car? Dreaming of this. Is it okay for you to cuss people out, and how you operate the social capital? Get really into it with these people, right? So you can build and identify your family and your tribe. Because when you meet somebody in the midst of a revolutionary moment or building something for your community project or community garden or something, it feel good until attention happens. And then you be too late. You be $100,000, $50,000 into a grant. Y'all be 9, you be 20 weeks into a podcast. It's over, baby. Y'all basically married in the work now, right? So before you go into it, make sure that the people that you organizing with, freedom does not look like your oppression, because then you ain't got to dim your light so somebody else can shine.
Definitely. So you've already given us some great nuggets there. Any other advice for someone that's, hey, I want to get involved. What can I do? How can I get involved?
If you want to get involved, I'm going to get a shameless plug, and I'm going to say go to ibfa.org. That's THEIBFA.org.
Okay.
We're an organization. We do what we call 4 tiers of organizing and 4 pathways. We work on politics. It's very key. We need not only the Black professional class and Negroes with degrees, but we need Big Mama, Nook, and Pookie to be the elected officials in our community, because they represent us. I've seen Big Mama do more with a pocketbook and $5 than I've seen any politician do with a federal, state, or local budget. And so those are the people who should probably be controlling the purse strings in the Black community. Also the builders and the uncles and all of those people should be in that. We also do community organizing. So of course, we do the breakfast program. We'll be starting back up. We're doing a book drive, but we also want to get into 10 cities by May of 2022. And so we do the Black Panther. And then the third is we do Black economics. I know a lot of Black people, Black leftists, talk about what's Black capitalism. Should we have money? But you can't have a revolution or a fight or equality or empowerment or none of those things if you ain't got no money. Let's keep it a buck. If we can't fund it ourselves and we can't fund it with integrity, if we can't have our own media that goes out to the masses, then how are we supposed to raise the consciousness of our people? And then last but not least, if we can't vote it away, if we can't grassroots organize it away and build institutions, and if we can't build economics and protect those economics, then we should be building towards Africa, which is our fourth tier of organizing. So we call this 4 tiers the philosophy of the ballot, the bullet, the buck, and the boat.
Okay.
And so you vote it away, organize it away, Black economic away, or go home to Africa. And so we can be somewhere where we can be safe. And I would rather struggle in a continent with 1.2 Africans that's just like us. They messed up just like us. Okay, they need some decolonizing just like us.
Okay,
but I would rather struggle with our own people on our own land, with autonomy and sovereignty, in the spirit of Black love, Black unity, and Black power, than struggle outside of it. And so those are 4 tiers. And if anything sounds good to you, go to the International Black Freedom Alliance, which is IBFA.org. Do your registration. Somebody gonna hit you up. Make sure you're not the feds, and then we're gonna get the organizing.
Okay, awesome. I'll have that link posted. So thank you for sharing that. And then I wanted to get your thoughts on these recent convictions of officers, these officer shootings, Kim Potter with Daunte Wright and Derek Chauvin with George Floyd, and the convictions of the 3 gentlemen, if I don't even, for Ahmaud Arbery, McMichaels, and William Bryan. Do you think the presence of the video footage played a part in the convictions that we received there? You know, what are your thoughts on that?
I think what we're seeing now is we are believing that the videos are helpful, but we have to understand that the videos were already present. The prosecutor in Ahmaud Arbery's case had the video, saw it already. If it wasn't for the pressure from the community, then nothing would have happened. And so what we have to understand that hashtags, social media posts, even petitions don't work, but pressure, applying real pressure and telling them what it is and what it ain't, that makes it move, and even to get even a grand jury indictment, which is the lowest bar and the lowest hanging fruit that we can have. I feel like what's happening is for the sake of white supremacy to be able to evolve and trick more people to believe that the system can be reformed in any kind of substantial way. They are willing to sacrifice a few for the vast majority of them to continue to kill us. We just seen in Georgia, a brother named Jason, who I actually went to a revolutionary healing retreat in Georgia with, was killed by off-duty sheriff, and the sheriff lied. And so videos don't matter to white supremacy. Petitions don't matter, and hashtags don't matter. It actually matters when you calling them, emailing them, pulling up to their face, economic boycotts and protests. Those are the things I think that makes a needle move, but we also have to move beyond that. And so I don't want people to be fooled that 1, 2, 3, or 5 people being, convicted over the last few years is going to be something substantial, because Laquan McDonald's killer will be released from prison after only 3 years after killing him in Chicago. So he was supposed to do, I think, 10. He's doing 3, and so here's where we are. They'll highlight a few for the 99.9% of them to be able to do the most heinous stuff to us. And if they're doing this on camera, we already know what they're doing off camera.
That's true, and I'm glad you mentioned applying pressure. That totally was the case with Ahmaud Arbery, with all of that video footage, the corruption behind it. They had to indict, that female prosecutor in that case, because she, really, kept it from moving forward. Look how long it took for them to get arrested. They literally shot him down and went home. How does that happen? Like, it's just shocking.
And we just gotta remember Ahmaud Arbery case. The prosecutor had it with 1,000 Black people show up into a small city like New Brunswick. it makes people want to prosecute people. George Floyd, a whole rebellion had to happen throughout the summer for these charges, and even to get beyond the grand jury hearing to get an actual case. And we can't forget about Dante Wright being killed by Kim Porter, because not only did they do this after George Floyd, after Breonna Taylor, after the country was turned up, right? That the NBA had to go on strike along with every major sports league in the country to demand justice for Dante Wright. And so what we're saying is we're seeing what the pressure applied gets us, but we have to continue the pressure and be on one accord.
That's true. So the video alone is not enough. So
always apply pressure.
Yeah, it's glad that, you know, you see all these videos of people being pulled over. The first thing they do is get their camera out, you know, and that's great because you might capture something that is needed to be caught. But, you know, it may be a situation where we do have to apply pressure. So you can't be afraid to, you know, do that, and you can get involved in those ways, you know, calling, and you may have to, you know, getting in, you know, they are on the front lawn of the prosecutor in Louisville, you know. Yeah. So yeah,
and it may take Black people doing something different politically, voting for different people, running our own candidates, even possibly creating our own political party. It may take mass amounts of not only boycotts, but boycotts, where people are only buying Black and not supporting these racist institutions and corporations who fund these people and fund the police. It may take all of those things working together. But like I said, pressure always needs to be applied. And we all know that mass disruption and civil disobedience gets the goods. And so angry is good. Definitely. Angry is always good.
For sure. And one question from the sponsor at Poddex: what do you think is not fair in today's society?
What do I think is not fair in today's society?
Yes.
Today's society.
Okay. I mean, we talked about like the political system, like there's a lot of things we could, you know.
I think the most unfair thing, if I'm going to talk about, like, if I can pinpoint the most unfair thing is, I think the most unfair part of society today is probably that the fact that the political system does not work for Black people.
Okay.
That's the most horrid part, in that America is not a democracy. If voters can be suppressed, and if districts can be gerrymandered, and if people can be released from jail and not have the right to vote to be returned to them, then we don't live in democracy. And so what happens is that things like reparations, which should be at the top of any Democratic party's agenda, is not being pushed, even if they have the majority. These are the things that really take up a lot of Black people's time, money, energy, effort. We put in, like, the Wesley Bell situation, because we are believing that our votes are being counted, and then the people that we're voting on are going to do something. But it seems like every time, even after the runoff and Biden, you know, lying, talking about he gonna give us $2,000 and the Democrats gonna cancel student debt. It seems like it's always something that Black people don't get, and that's just unfair for us.
Definitely. I hear you on that. And then let us know again about any efforts that you're working on, and tell us again about your organization, how people can reach out.
So our organization is a Pan-African organization. We work around the world, meaning we believe that Black people should be unified. We believe in our 4 principles of Black self-determination, Black love, Black unity, and Black power. And so no matter where you are, even if you don't want to work with other people around the world, if you just want to do work locally, do work at your state level, do stuff in your nation, or work with people wherever they want, and be that, that's how we kind of work. We're not gang banging on the set. You ain't got to be a Pan-Africanist. You ain't got to stop being a feminine. We don't do none of that. We just believe that Black people can work together wherever we are, and we do the things. And so no matter where you hear this podcast at, no matter where you at in the world, if you believe that your community can be changed and you got some homies, a squad, some peoples, your family and them can do something at least instrumental in your community to change the world for the people that you love, Black people in particular, then pull up. Because we do, like you said, we do the grassroots. And so right now, we just building structures out. We working on one, the Black agenda, two, getting the breakfast program, making sure we have enough books. We got enough pancake mix and sausage and all of that. Turkey sausage, none of that. But we need Black books. And so the key part of Black books and breakfast is we only give Black books out, Black authors, Black illustrators. And we just trying to collect enough books. So places like St. Louis and Louisville, and Birmingham and Mobile and Jacksonville and all these other places that do the breakfast program can kind of be funded. So we working at a very local level on how we just even create smaller things before we get to the institution building. We just want to build with people, become in what we call intentional community, and live what we call Ubuntu, which is I am because we are. And so you can do that at the ibfa.org.
Okay, that's what's up. Awesome. Anything else to share?
No, I mean, I think the one thing is I want to leave people with this. It's Black people out here that care about the same things that you care about. It's Black people out here that's been working on these things before me and you been born, and it's Black people out here that can't wait to work with you. Here at the International Black Freedom Alliance, we want to be that place so people don't feel alone. There's no space that you can't reach. There's no kind of shunning away. We believe that every Black person is important, and we want anything that you ever scribbled in your notebook, anything that you've ever dreamed at night, and any plans that you do it with us. Because we love Black people, and we believe that Black people are smart enough, resilient enough, educated enough, talented enough, and resourceful enough to get free with or without our allies. We believe that we can do it on our own. As long as we work together, we can do it.
Awesome. Definitely. Okay. I think that is awesome. And we will share that information so people can reach out. Resources are needed, and the people want to get involved, and this definitely is a worthy cause, so we'll spread the word. And I appreciate you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure. Have a great day. Thank you. Thanks for listening, guys.